Hello and welcome to A Journey to Awareness. Are you ready to take a voyage to the uncharted places within you, where you will be guided to ways to heal your wounds, look at your life choices, release your fears, and take control of your future? Stick with me through these podcasts and you will take the most exciting adventure of your life, the journey to you. Let's go. Hello, everyone. I'm Shauna Hoffman. I am so excited to have this amazing guest on our show today. You all know how passionate I am as a sailor and how I use sailing analogies in my podcast all the time. So you can imagine how thrilled I was to lock in Carole Fontaine as a guest. Known to some as the sailing Yogi, Carole Fontaine teaches by sharing stories of her 20 years of living aboard a sailboat to illustrate the life lessons and challenges she overcame. A successful professional graphic designer, she left the world of design after her health failed and sent her on a 10-year journey to search for answers and heal from chronic disease. In that time, she found her voice, took control of her health, and discovered her passion, forgiveness, and strength, all while sailing the ocean, diving in caves, swimming with sharks, surviving hurricanes, waking up in a sinking boat, and maneuvering in a meager 41 feet of living space with an unconventional husband and, of course, a dog. Do y'all see why I had to have her on the show? Carole's a certified life coach, author, meditative writing, Shakti dance, yoga, Reiki master teacher, and she loves to share the stories of being a co-captain of her boat, The Wind Song. I can't wait to talk to her today about her book, Sail Above the Clouds. Now listen to this. Sail, S-A-I-L, simplify, align, integrate, and let go so you can live an extraordinary life. Welcome, Carole.
Thank you for this beautiful introduction. Yes, may we all sail above the clouds.
Every day and always. I'm so excited to have you on the show. I really, really am. I've been reading the book. All of you have to get this book, and we'll give you links later as to where you can find out more information about Carole. But Carole, I thought we would start by you sharing this amazing journey from hippie biker to sailor.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us that?
Well, I was very in touch with my rebellious child when I was younger. So I was a young woman in college. I was into bikers and motorcycles, and I bought my first Harley. I met my husband, who was also a biker. And of course, we fell deeply in love. And in Canada, I'm originally from Canada. So over there in the winter, it snows. So we ended up moving to Florida on our motorcycles. When we ended up there, we realized it was way too hot to run a motor in between your legs in 90-degree weather. So we turned to the ocean. We ended up, it wasn't instant. The first few years we rode a lot, and we ended up through a lot of parties, and we were into the biker scene. But I really was not satisfied with that. I became very disillusioned, disheartened, and I wasn't fulfilled. Florida and the big dream, the American dream on the beach just wasn't what I had expected. And I remember being on the beach with my husband and looking out to sea and seeing these boats out there. And I was like, wow, this is the dream. This is the summum of freedom, I've done it. And we ended up living on the boat, buying a boat from there, living on the boat for 20 years.
Had you ever sailed before?
I had not. I had zero experience in sailing. I think I went on a boat when I was a child once on a vacation, a family vacation, because I didn't even remember if I was seasick or not. We were that green. My husband had done a tiny little bit of boating on a lake, but not sailing.
We talk so much on the show about reinventing our lives. Mm-hmm. And talk about reinventing your life. That is a massive reinvention.
Massive.
Then what happened? What were those 20 years like?
Well, when we ended up moving on the boat, we needed to reinvent ourselves. We needed to simplify our life. It had become just a a never-ending party. And we needed to get out of this party scene and get in touch with each other and with life and what we wanted, what our dreams were, what pushed us to move thousands of miles away. What had brought us there. So the boat represented that dream, what we were looking for. So the first few years, we threw ourselves into learning everything about sailing. We took courses. We tried it out. We went cruising. We went to the Bahamas. We made mistakes. Almost sunk the boat, but thank goodness the Morgans are tough boats. But we learned, we had fun, we enjoyed ourselves, we were young, carefree. It was amazing. It was an amazing life. And then eventually we fell back into that mode. We were back into the party scene, but with the boating crowds. So we had just simply changed the scenery around an underlying dissatisfaction. We hadn't addressed what was going on in our hearts and our relationship, what we were looking for. I was still unaware back then I wasn't really listening to, am I happy? Are these things, is everything that I'm doing fulfilling me? Of course I lived in paradise. Some of the places we've been, yum, amazing. Sailing is just absolutely. But it's not always idyllic because happiness comes from within.
Oh, so well said. So how did you start to find that happiness?
I had 5 years, I would call my dark night of the soul, where after maybe 10 or 12 years on the boat, I became very ill, physically ill. And I ended up seeing many doctors. I was swollen. I had inflammation, a lot of pain. I ended up having a hysterectomy. I had lesions on my liver, had skin problems. I could not eat without getting sick. And I was getting anemic. So there was a lot of things going on. And the doctors weren't communicating with each other. And I fell into the Western medicine cycle of having 10 different doctors that don't talk to each other. And I became depressed, of course. At that point, my husband really came through for me and said, this is not working. You need to look at what's going on. And he called my mom from Canada. She came in, Mom to the rescue, yay!
Oh, I love that.
And we really took a look at what was happening. And I fired my doctors. I went the holistic route. I started searching for answers for myself. I took responsibility for my health. And when I did that, I realized that I was very unhappy. And that unhappiness might have simmered there for so long that the only way that my body had been able to have me listen to it is scream loudly and make me sick. And this is when I finally stopped and say, oh, hold on. What's going on here? Something deeper is happening. And I reinvented myself completely. I fired my doctor. I fired my boss, quit my job. I even fired one of my best friends. That was a toxic relationship. I reevaluated my relationship. And I realized that my husband and I were really having a lot of problems and we needed to face them.
How did you do that?
We talked communication. First, there's always a period when we become aware where we're not quite certain what's going on. We're like, oh, we know something's wrong, but we're not quite sure what it is. And so we ask questions. And I had a friend that was adamant on me getting a journal and write. She's like, you got to write. And I'm like, what? How is writing going to fix my health? But I did. And that really was the best remedy because writing opened up a whole world of wisdom and awareness, self-awareness.
I love that you say that. I so often give that to my clients to do, and we talk about it here and in every workshop. One of the things that I say over and over, and my listeners hear it over and over, is when we make the subconscious conscious, it can go away. And when you journal, even when you start the page, if you start journaling and I'm so pissed off and you're writing and all of a sudden 4 pages later, you have gotten underneath why you're angry or hurt or sad or lonely. But until you get it from your head out, and a lot of people can do it with meditation, but journaling I find is one of the most positive and productive forms of self-awareness because you're getting it out of your brain. Then when you talk about the fact that, and we have talked about it with the connection of mind-body, is the fact that when we have so much unhappiness and dis-ease, it has to, you're absolutely right, it has to go to some place in your body. And that's where so much illness comes from. Deepak Chopra talks about it all the time. Mm-hmm. Being able to get the disease out of your mind, get in touch with your emotions, your feelings, your fears, then you can start releasing them and letting them go.
Yes, absolutely. It's like doing a cleanup of your mind. It's decluttering your mind. I talk a lot about how to simplify your life in my book, because it's Sail Above the Clouds, How to Simplify Your Life. It's more than just simplifying your physical space. It's simplifying your emotional, your spiritual, your mental space. We carry so much stuff and we don't ever clean it up. We don't look at it, and writing helps that. And for me, writing helped me get clear on what was going on, because I knew there was a dis-ease in my life. I did not felt that things were right. I wasn't in the flow. I was happy, but it was surface happy. I wasn't joyful in my heart. And writing helped me get to that space. It helped me uncover all the muckiness. It helped me declutter all that was taking up rent in my space. I evicted everything that was renting space and once that was done, once you simplify and you clear out the clutter, then you can clearly see what's left and what you want to keep and what you want to pursue and support and nurture and what you definitely don't want back in your space.
None of you can see. We're recording this live, so I can see Carole as she speaks, and my head is just sitting there shaking my head. Yes, 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 yes. I love decluttering our mind. I love that so much. You just nailed it. So in your book, it's Sail, Simplify, Align, Integrate, and Let Go. Speak to those 4.
When you simplify, just address that. When you simplify your life, the path becomes clear. Whatever is left after you simplify, oh my goodness, it's clear what you want to pursue, or what brings you joy, what brings you passion, what your purpose is, because you've gotten rid of everything that was making your life busy, but not necessarily passionate. And once you've simplified, now that you are clear on your goals, how can you align your life with those goals? So the second book, all the stories and the lessons and the exercise going to be how to align your goals with your purpose. And then integrate. How do you integrate these tools that we have in our life around? There's so many amazing tools and exercises and coaches out there that shares things that we can do in our life, but how do we apply them? We take courses and we're like, oh yeah, this is really good. This is really good. 30 days later, we sign up for another course and on and on and on. Where does it stop? It stops when we integrate certain practices and we commit to certain things in our life, daily life, that will really affect our success. When we integrate these into our morning routine, our work routine, our schedules, etc. And when we have all that in play, we're now aligned, we're clear on what we want, we have tools to support us, we can take actions into the world that are very aligned, but then we have to let go. We have to trust. Because once we've done everything that we can, we're aligned in our heart, our actions are aligned with our purpose. We need to trust. We need to trust the universe, that the universe has our back. And the last book, that's a tough one. the letting go.
The letting go, I think also trusting ourselves that we have gotten to that fourth step because we have been genuine to ourselves, because we have looked within, because we have become truly self-aware. And then if you don't let go, the things that we don't let go of and we hold on to that we know are unhealthy for us, there is so much discontent in knowing that we're holding on to that. I think that ends up being the motivator to finally let go.
Yes. Yes. For me, it's a big step to letting go. And I always ask myself, how deeper can I let go? Because there's always different levels. Because when you think you've let go quite enough, you move thousands of miles again and you start over again. And I had a sailing injury a few years ago. So I could not teach. I had to move off the boat in a town that I did not know by myself with my dog while my husband sailed away with the boat because my back was so hurt I could not be on the boat anymore. I really reassessed myself and thought, oh my God, what's my identity? Letting go, moving off the boat. I can't teach anymore. I'm not a teacher anymore. Letting go of all these things. Oh my goodness. It was one of the greatest act of letting go of my life, that to trust that all will be well. And letting go also means letting go of trying to be perfect, of controlling everything in your life, expectations, and really trusting that you've done all that you can and that whatever's going to come to you may not be what you want exactly, but it will be what you need. And from that, you can grow.
What I love about this process is I don't think you can get there until you're aligned. And because that is what you have, simplify, align. Once you're aligned and you know your purpose and you know you're aligned with your dreams, you're aligned with your goals, you're aligned with your genuine self, then the letting go can happen. People, I think, do it backwards. I think they think, oh, I'm just going to get rid of this relationship, or I'm going to change my job because I'm not happy in my job, but they haven't really aligned their spirit. They haven't simplified their life. I love this so much. They haven't really done the work. And like you said, you ended up going, you go from one place to the next place with the exact same lessons.
You do. That's what happens. You can move to as many places and change as many jobs, but it's like when you have a relationship, a lot of women say, I always end up with the same types of relationship. When you see repeating situations in your life, you really want to stop and ask yourself, what's the lesson? It's disguised somewhere. And once you really notice this, it's like, oh my goodness. You declutter everything around and get to the bottom of it. And then when you're clear about it, you want to make sure, does this align with what I want in my life? And if it doesn't, it needs to go.
I have a word that I talk about, and I think I did a podcast. I'll have to go back and look which one. And it's on willingness. You have to have willingness to look at yourself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest, for me, if you can throw in another W for wind, for willingness. Sail with the wind, with the willingness to look at yourself. If you don't have the willingness to take that first step, you can't get there.
Yes. It gets scary. It's scary to look at ourselves this closely because it's not always a fun process. There's a lot of things that were scaring me. I was refusing to look at this. I did not want to look at my relationship and my job, etc., etc. I lived in paradise. I lived on the sailboat. And people, if it would be back then, I've been on the boat for 20 years. So back then it wasn't social media the way it is now. But if you would have looked at my page, it would have looked idyllic. People are like, oh my goodness, Carole, how beautiful your life is. But it's an illusion.
Which is so funny because that's the name of my boat, The Illusion.
Oh, I love it.
My sailboat.
The illusion.
The illusion. It is. It is. And we live in this illusion all of the time. And we have to see what is true to ourselves and genuine to ourselves.
Yeah.
I could talk with you forever, and I know I'm going to already want you back on another episode. How can people get your book? How can they read? Do you have any workshops coming up? Do you have anything? Where can my listeners find you?
Yes, the easiest way is to go to my site. That's sailabovetheclouds.com. So sailabovetheclouds.com. From there, you can get the book. You can connect with me. I don't have a workshop plan, right? The date's not set yet, but I do have one coming up in February, most likely about meditative writing, some simplifying your life. I teach on Zooms. I have different kinds of classes, and I'd love to connect with your listeners and see, how I can support them in inspiring their life and helping their lives. And there's a free excerpt on there so they can read the first 2 chapters.
And what's wonderful, everyone, is that she gives great fun examples of what's happened in her life. And then she gives you exercises in the book for you to work on for yourself. And maybe if the winds are in our favor, we can do a workshop together. You're the person I would love to do a workshop with. I would love
to collaborate with you. Let's talk more about that. Absolutely.
You are all hearing it right here, right now. Everyone, thank you so much, Carole. We wish you fair winds.
Fair winds and following seas.
Everyone, I wish for you fair winds and following seas. May you be so good to yourself in the next week. Please take wonderful care of yourself. Eat nourishing foods. Get lots of sleep. Surround yourself with loving beings. Thank you for letting me into your life this week, and I look forward to popping back in again next week. Thank you for joining me today on the Journey to Awareness podcast. My hope is that you leave this podcast inspired, fired up, and ready to take that next step on the magical journey of self-awareness, and then you come back and join us again. Oh, and if you can do me a quick favor and please leave me a 5-star review over on iTunes. I gain so much from reading the reviews and getting feedback from my listeners. Thanks again for spending your time with me today. Be sure to visit me on my Facebook page, Working on Me, and on my website, workingonme.com, for past episodes and insight into the fabulous journey to you.